Okay. Thank you. All right. No,
Quick introduction.
Okay.
Hare Krishna devotees, thank you for attending here. We are very fortunate to have His Holiness Radha Krishna Maharaj with us. A small introduction about Prabhu. His Holiness Radha Krishna Maharaj is an initiating guru, monk, and spiritual teacher, primarily based in Houston. He travels all over the world: Australia, China, Hong Kong, Singapore, and America, giving talks on spiritual subjects from Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. He is also an authority for Vedic studies in Texas area. With that, we will welcome Maharaj by loudly chanting one time Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Over to you, Maharaj.
Okay. How long do you all do the class for? It's about an hour. But end at 8:30. Okay. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Devam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivara Jagacharya Sotara Shishimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Jai Gaura Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees of Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Vishnu Pada Krishna Prasna All Krishna Goswami Namne Namo Vishnu Pada Krishna Prasna Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namne Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyani Pasita Destaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nasa Prasya Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you for coming for this morning's Bhagavatam class. I presume all of you have the verse numbers, right? So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, The Science of God, Chapter 9, Prahlad pacifies Lord Nrsimhadev with prayers, Text 6. This is what Satya Sai Prabhu wanted me to speak on. So, Satadkara Sparsha Duta Kila Shubha Sa tatkara sparsha duta kila shubha. Sapadya bhiyakta paratma darshana. Sapadi abhivyakta paratma darshana. Tatpada patmam hridhi nibrito dadau. Tatpada patmam hridhi nibrito dadau. Rishyatanu klinnarit ashrulochana. Rishyatanu klinnarit ashrulochana. Satatkara sparsha duta kila subha. Sapadya bhivyakta paratma darshna. Tatpada patmam hridhi nirvrito dadau. Rishyatanu klinnarit ashrulochana. So you can chant, someone. One or two people can chant. Vaishnavis. One more. Tatakara sparsha duta kila shubha. Saha he Prahlad Maharaj Tatkara Sparsha, because of being touched on the head by the lotus hand of Nrsimhadev. Duta being cleansed. Akila all. Ashubhaha inauspiciousness or material desires. Sapadi immediately. Abhivyakta manifested. Para Atma Darshanaha, realization of the Supreme Soul, spiritual knowledge. Tat Pada Padmam, Lord Narishingadev's lotus feet. Riddhi, within the core of the heart. Nirvritaha, full of transcendental bliss. Dadau, captured. Rishyatanuhu, having transcendental ecstatic bliss manifested in the body. Klinnarit, whose heart was softened due to transcendental ecstasy. Ashrulochanaha, with tears in his eyes. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation: by the touch of Lord Narsingha hand on Prahlad Maharaj's head, Prahlad was completely freed of all material contaminations and desires, as if he had been thoroughly cleansed. Therefore, he at once became transcendentally situated, and all the symptoms of ecstasy became manifest in his body. His heart filled with love and his eyes with tears, and thus he was able to completely capture the lotus feet of the Lord within the core of his heart. Please repeat: by the touch of Lord Narsingha hand on Prahlad Maharaj's head, Prahlad was completely freed of all material contaminations and desires, as if he had been thoroughly cleansed. Therefore, he at once became transcendentally situated, and all the symptoms of ecstasy became manifest in his body. His heart filled with love, and his eyes with tears. And thus he was able to completely capture the lotus feet of the Lord within the core of his heart. Purport as stated in Bhagavad Gita 14:26, Mamchayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samititaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, who does not fall down in any circumstance, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. Elsewhere in the Bhagavad Gita 9.32, the Lord says, Mam hi partavya pasritya ye bishu papayonaya striyo vaishyastata shuddhas te piyanti param gatim. Usanaprita, those who take shelter in me, though they be of lower birth, women, Vaishyas, merchants, as well as Shudras, workers, can approach the supreme destination. On the strength of these verses from Bhagavad Gita, it is evident that although Prahlad Maharaj was born in a demoniac family and although virtually demoniac blood flowed within his body, he was cleansed of all material bodily contamination because of his exalted position as a devotee. In other words, such impediments on the spiritual path could not stop him from progressing, for he was directly in touch with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Those who are physically and mentally contaminated by atheism cannot be situated on the transcendental platform, but as soon as one is freed from material contamination, he is immediately fit to be situated in devotional service. Amagyanatimirandasya janajana shalaka chakshushanmilitamena tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langete Girim Yakripadamamande Shri Gurundanataranam Paramananda Madham Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Sahodada Gadode Pushpavanta Chitra Sandha Tamonada. Okay, so we see this is after killing Narsinghadev, and it's an interesting situation, because after the Lord completely devastates all the demonic personalities who were attacking him, and he kills all of them, and he's very angry. Generally, if a devotee is being harassed, the Lord gets very angry, right? So you shouldn't harass one another, because the Lord is not pleased. That's one of the things you can learn. Obviously, in the pastime of Prahlad Maharaj, what we are seeing is the extreme position, or in terms of anger, how angry can the Supreme Lord can manifest, is displayed by Narsinghadev. In a sense, no one can get as angry as Narsinghadev. You may be angry, but you cannot equal the Lord's anger. And in this situation, the reason for his anger is not because someone stole something from him or someone said something harsh. No, it's because his devotee is being harassed, or not only just harassed, at the point of being killed, right? They're after him and they want to kill him. And so the Lord says that's enough, enough is enough. Prahlad went through the level of austerities he went through, the level of persecution. It's almost like as if, in terms of Leela, no one can compare in that level, but in terms of similarity, he's the same personality who comes as Haridas Thakur also. So you can compare like that. Yeah. Although Haridas Thakur is, we say he is Brahma, Lord Brahma, his ability to take that kind of persecution and so on is very similar to Prahlad Maharaj. So Prahlad goes through all kinds. Haridas Thakur's persecution is only in the marketplaces. Mostly we read that. And the whipping, even that is very difficult. Nobody wants to be whipped, and it's very painful. But here you can see he's given poison, he's been trampled by elephants, he's been thrown off a cliff into boiling oil, lancing, and spear, everything they tried to kill him. And so when a devotee like this goes through so much of this difficulty, then the Lord specially comes to protect them. Yeah. In all cases, you don't see Prahlad praying that his father should be killed. You don't see that, nor is he wishing bad for his father. So what does it mean? It means Prahlad is already a pure devotee. He's already at that level. He's not, and in this particular verse we can see, we may think only when the Lord touched him then he became pure, but it's not that. He's already pure. He's already purified. It's not because there's the demon blood flowing through him. In common situation, people will say, "Oh, you're son of so and so. You must be horrible." Or genetically, you must be also crazy or a nutcase or something like that, because you come from such a family background. Right? And so Prabhupada tells us that is not the circumstance by which we get devotional practice. We don't approach devotion because we are only pure, then can practice. So therefore he quotes this famous verse, Yei Pishu Papa Yonaya. Those who are born, Papa Yonaya means taking birth in a sinful family. who? People like Vaishyas, Shudras, anyone actually, who are below the two castes that is considered pure or superior is Brahmanas and Kshatriyas. Anyone else is Papa Yoni. Right? Yeah, they are fallen. Although he stresses women, you can see women are always special, they are not in any caste. They are their caste on their own. So in that sense, you can be proud, I have a special caste. And you shouldn't feel that you are low or anything like that. Because included is Shudras also, which we are all Shudras. In Kali Yuga, everyone is Shudras. A special category for women is whichever caste they go to, they can take those benefits. If they marry a Brahmana, they can get the benefit of the Brahmana from the husband, provided they are following properly. If they marry a Kshatriya, they get that benefits and benediction like that. Of course, there is, just to go sidetrack, there's Pratiloma and Viloma, no? That means you marry upward or you marry downward. So those are also considerations. But in Kali Yuga, you do not know which way you're marrying. Okay, sometimes you hear people say this, I'm marrying upward, I'm marrying down. Nonsense. You have nobody. In this age, nobody can claim anything. Although you can, if you can show your lineage all the way to the great Kashyapa Muni and all those Munis, still, if you are working for someone, you're Shudra. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so Prabhupada's point is, it doesn't matter if you're not born of the Brahmanas, high class or birth, but the most important thing is Mam chayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate. That means in all circumstances one should do devotional service. Why? Because sagunan samitaitaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpite. Once you do service to Krishna with a good, sincere, pure heart way, it transcends the three modes. So any service you do, if your intention is to please the Lord, your spiritual master or the devotees, then you're already transcending the gunas. The modes cannot touch you actually. The modes only touch you when you start thinking about yourself. When you start thinking, oh, I'm so good, I'm doing this arti, everyone's watching me. So at that time, the modes are acting on you, and therefore you are thinking of the self. But practice of devotional service is not about the self, it is about the Supreme Lord, Supreme Person, the Supreme Self, you can say. Right? Yeah, and so just like when you do service among your family members, whether is it to your wife or to husband, what is your intention behind it? Right? If you analyze your own actions, are you doing it out of affection or love, or are you just doing because it's your duty to do it? So you'll see when you do it out of love and affection, then the outcome is greater pleasure. But if the intention is, I have to just do it, then there's no real rasa, no taste. Why I'm doing this. It becomes like a wet puppet, right? You want crunchy puppet, but it's a wet puppet, puppetum, like that. Yeah. So no taste actually. So bhakti is not simply doing it in the fashion of duty. In the beginning, obviously, if your understanding is very platonic, very basic, then you may do it because you're told to do. But Srila Prabhupada says, as you continuously do it, that is sadhana, bhakti, as you continuously do it, it will eventually lead to spontaneity, where you want to do it. Hmm? In the beginning, getting up for Mangalarti, he gives an example, is difficult because you're concerned about your bodily needs. But as you progress in your bhakti processes, you want to get up. You're thinking, why I have to sleep? I'm not sure you're at that level yet, but it is a possibility. You come to that stage of why am I even sleeping? Just like Haridas Thakur, 22 hours a day he is chanting, and then the 2 hours he does his duties, take bath, brush teeth, do anything else. He's not even worried about eating and so on. Because why? Because he is uh, feeling, he's come to the level of pure devotion. Now here, Brahma Bhuyaya Kapati is at the stage of when one is not disturbed by the modes. Okay, so when you do devotion and not thinking for your own benefit and you're just doing it, then the modes cannot act on you. And so when the modes are not acting on you, you feel relief. It's generally that what it is, right? If somebody is putting a sharp pin on you, you feel distressed. As soon as they take away the pin, you feel relief. So beginning stages is like that. You feel it's not true bliss. It's actually relief from material distress. Yeah. So eventually you come to the stage of pure bliss, bhakti. But that is a connection with the Supreme Lord. Just like Prahlad is in connection with the Lord himself, personally sitting there, and later on he will caress him and lick him, Right, so you can see once you come to the highest stage, where here in the translation or so on, Srila Prabhupada gives us an understanding what is this manifestation. Rishyat tanuhu. The symptoms of ecstasy became manifest in his body and his heart filled with love and his eyes with tears. So one of the things is you find that when you become very focused on pleasing the Lord, there's a transformation in your heart. That transformation will lead you to actually develop these symptoms of bhava, where you cry spontaneously. The crying is not like when you cry when someone steals something from you. This crying is out of ecstasy or happiness. Yeah. And generally, such tears are cool tears, not hot tears. When you are in distress, it's hot tears. So next time when you cry, test it out. Obviously, I'm just joking, but when you are in love with someone and tears comes out, those tears are cool. At least that's what the Shastras say. Just like when your child goes away to in US, maybe go to university in another state, when they come back, you out of parents out of happiness, the tears come out, no? Right? So it'll be cool tears because it's out of love. Yeah. And the other symptoms is, hair standing on end, right? Maybe shivering. There are a few, like 8 symptoms. You can read it in the Nectar of Devotion, like that. Yeah, stuttering, not able to speak properly, choking. All these are symptoms of a pure devotee. Now, because he is transcendentally situated, he is not interested in material things anymore. Okay, no more. It's not means he's not even worried who thinks of him in any way. Mostly for us, we are attracted to wanting people to speak highly of us, and thinking that we are better than others, right? Or looking through. Let's say you give a class and then you look through the YouTube to see how many hits. Uh, See, oh, I'm popular or not, devotees like me or not. It's, I guess it's normal in some sense, but at the same time, it's more a selfish thing. Uh, but a pure devotee is not worried about that. His only concern is, have I pleased the Lord? Have I pleased the devotees? Yeah. So that's what his concern is. You shouldn't worry about this because you will know if you please the devotees because they'll come and tell you generally, unless they don't like you, then they are not devotee, not practicing devotees properly. But yeah, and you'll know, yeah, I've pleased some devotees, and generally, you'll find sometimes you give a class, 10 people will say you did good, 10 people will say I didn't like what you said, and 10 others will say you should have talked on something else. Yeah, it's very common. Um, but mostly when we are giving our realization so on, the intent should be to allow the audience to understand the situation and to evoke a devotional sentiment so that you can actually practice to the level that you want to become a pure devotee. Like many of you have taken initiation and so on. So, but then where's your goal? Are you still going to be sitting here in another 20 years? Or are you going to get out of this material world? Do you want to come back and have the same lifestyle again? Go through the same difficulties? Albeit it could be worse, right? The world is only going to get worse, So when we read such a nice discussion about the pure devotees like Prahlad Maharaj, we should also see how can I get to this stage? What are my steps I can take? What should I do? And how should I adjust my lifestyle? How much can I adjust given the situation? One should hanker to be in this situation. That's the proper understanding. When you all want to go back to Godhead, what is the point coming back? Right? Yeah. So yeah, so it doesn't matter ultimately that some of you may think you are born in a Brahmin family, so you have a better opportunity to go back. It's not like that. Bhakti is beyond all this thing. Bhakti doesn't depend on your birth, doesn't depend on your parentage, doesn't depend on your knowledge or beauty or whatever. Bhakti just depends on your heart, how you connect with Krishna. Bhakti evokes bhakti. You practice bhakti to become more bhakti, to develop more bhakti. Yeah? So anyone can take up. It's free. There's no need for any other qualification. You don't need any qualification. You don't need a PhD to come and do bhakti yoga. You don't need any education. All you need is, all you need is the desire to develop bhakti. Yeah. And if you approach in the right way, then the Lord will basically, if you have attraction, then you can develop bhakti. The first thing is attraction. You hear some nice kirtan, you're attracted. You hear a nice thing about Krishna, you're attracted. Then you practice it. Right? And then the second thing is the mercy of the devotees. Right? So hopefully the devotees guide you, and that they guide you for the purposes of connecting you with the Supreme Person, not for any other reason. We shouldn't see our devotees when they come so I can get the temple clean. I can get someone to do some service. It's not like that. Our goal is somehow or other we can connect them to Krishna. And in this life, hopefully they manage to go back. That should be the intent. And then you won't become selfish or self-centered or become a controller. We are not the controllers. And to avoid falling back into the bad situation that we originally came from, then we shouldn't associate with people who are atheistic, people who are sense enjoyers, people who are impersonalists. Yeah. So these categories, three categories of people should be avoided in the most distinct, most intelligent way. You should avoid associating with these three categories of people, because if you associate with them, thinking you can help them, you may be contaminated in your own intelligence. Then they will say, there's no such thing as God. This is man-made to control people, right? And you think, oh, maybe that is true, Or the impersonalist says, it's no God, it's just energies, material energy is the one. Then, yeah, maybe that is true. So you read science fiction, that's all they talk about, right? There's some energy mass is coming through the space. That's about all they know. And then impersonalists, and then who else? Atheists and sense enjoyers, yeah. Sense enjoyers will tell you to enjoy anything and everything under the sun. And when you let your senses control you, then what happens is the ability to understand that you are a spirit soul is lost. You think you are the body. And in bodily conscious, you think I'm American, I'm black, I'm white, I'm red, I'm green, I'm blue, like that. I'm Indian, I'm Chinese, all this. Those are all bodily consciousness. You are not any of those. Those are designation, upadhi, right? How to understand, okay, you're a CEO, you're a promoted CEO, but after 10 years you resign, retire, you're no more a CEO. You're just another person in the society paying tax, right? That's all you are. So that's designation. So similarly, I'm white, I'm blue, and all those. I'm American, I'm this and Alaskan, all this nonsense. This is a title. Now, before the First World War, there was no such thing as demarcations of country borders. You can just go from one place to another. After the World War, people start becoming more like, no, this is my country, this is your country. Anyway, this is all, or identifying with the body. You identify with your body, you identify with the land, you identify with your kinsfolk, you identify with the philosophy or science, yeah. You identify with the properties, wealth, and so on. So you can analyze yourself, and you find when you do all that, the ability to actually focus on the Supreme Lord and bhakti cannot take place properly. If at all, it will be sporadic. Well, sometimes you come and then you go home, right? Like, there's some kirtan, everybody, and then go home. Because there's no taste. Yeah, it's all based on the material modes acting on you and identifying like, yeah. So basically, this is all the way I see it from this purports. That when you are convinced in this process, then there's no impediment because you're convinced. Your family can say one thing, your parents can say, your friends can say, but you're convinced. So how is there an impediment? But when you're not convinced, anything and everything is an impediment or any excuse to not to go and practice, right? Or, I have work to do, that's an excuse, Or my friend called me in the night and I spoke for 1 hour. Why you speak so long? Right? Right? You can say, can we make an appointment where I can speak to you at another time? or meet somewhere and we can discuss, but I won't have more than, I can't give you more than 2 hours. And that's it, be more logical and more intelligent. But, Prabhu, I was late, we were discussing, sometimes even Bhakti Vriksha go up to midnight, right? They say, why? Because we were discussing big philosophy. So have you concluded? Are you going back to Godhead? No, I have to go to work. Yeah. So we have this tendency to, put emphasis on things that are not so important. But the impediments are self-made. It's not something externally coming. Obviously, if there's a war going on, yeah, that may be an impediment. But otherwise, mostly, if you analyze in your own lifestyle, there may be some lifestyle changes is necessary to make that attempt to go back to Godhead in this lifetime. Okay. So yeah, I'll stop here. Comments, questions, reflections. You have anything that you want to add, feel free to do so.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you very much. That was very nice. Maharaj, you kind of touched on the point, but I wanted a bit more clarification. Here, Prahlad Maharaj is, as you mentioned, is like pure devotee. There's no question of contamination, but still there is a specific mention that when Lord Narasimha touched him, he became completely pure. Could you just explain a bit more on that?
All right. So, the emphasis is that generally up to the stage of bhava, there may be some remnants of contamination in the heart, something, slight things. But usually it's not able to overwhelm the individual. So when the Lord is touching him, everything completely is gone. Yeah. So there's no more material contamination. Yeah. Otherwise, you should understand, even through all the difficulties, he's still worshipping. So he is a pure devotee already. So whatever, you may have some desire in your heart. Maybe you like pizza, and at the time of that you're thinking of pizza. So the Lord will come and say, you don't need the pizza. Or, when you go back to Godhead, there's better pizza. Something like that. Yeah. There may be some remnants, some.
Thank you.
Yeah. Because you can compare him with Narada Muni in the first canto, where he has a glimpse of the Lord, and then the Lord disappears, and the Lord says, you still have some contamination. What is that contamination? He's happy in the mode of goodness. Yeah. But although he is still a elevated soul. So similarly, there may be some remnants that the Lord wanted to make sure that is no more there. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for the wonderful class. You mentioned about impediments are usually self-created. If you don't mind, if you could elaborate a little more on that.
It's you. You are the cause of the problem.
Okay.
Right? It's choices you make, the way you see life itself. Yeah. How much faith you develop with the devotees. Yeah. How much are you willing to give up your own selfish needs for the purposes of pleasure of the Lord? If you have free time, do you contemplate on how to improve your sadhana? Or do you watch Netflix? Or do you do something that has no connection with the Lord? So mostly, 90% of the time, I should say 99% of the time, it's self-induced obstacles, right? And if you don't follow the process properly, it's not possible to overcome those impediments also. Because what is the atonement for devotee? There's no specific atonement. Our atonement is bhakti process itself, right? If you make a mistake, and then what can you do? You just continue to do bhakti. And that's our atonement. Because bhakti will eventually will raise you to a higher consciousness. But if you fall back into bad practices, then you get covered by the material energy. We are tatastha shakti. Tatastha shakti means we have a tendency to be attracted by material energy or the spiritual energy. If we center ourselves and move towards the spiritual energy by practice of bhakti, then we are under the
Modes.
huh?
Under the modes.
No, when you huh? Yeah, you're under the transcendental modes. Right? What is that verse? I forgot. In the 9th chapter, the devotees are always under the Satatam Kirtayantam Yadantam. Dhrida Vrata is different. What? Satatam Kirtayantam. No, not Bhajatam Pritipur. That is Tesam Satatam Yuktan. Huh? It's just slip. I can't remember which where it is said that the under the protection of the divine, huh? No, that is not divine energy. That is a material energy. It's in the same verse, the Satatam and the second verse or something. Anyway, you guys can look. I'm getting old. I can't remember. The divine energy, under the protection of the divine energy, devotees are always under the protection. So if you are connecting with the Lord sincerely, you are protected. The Lord Himself says, Kunteya pratijana hi name bhakta pranashyati. He says very clearly, my devotees never perish. Why? Because they are connected to Him. And if you are not connected to Him, okay, so you're not doing devotional service, then because we are tatashta, we are allured by the material energy. You walk out, you see something colorful, something, it's fascinating, you get allured by it, right? Although, like, for example, you have a new, in a few months, they'll come out with a new iPhone, you know. It's probably going to look the same, and still you'll think it's a new one. So that's the allurement. That's the material energy. It's alluring, and it's temporary if you think carefully. But spiritual activity is permanent. It's transcendental. Yeah, yeah. So you can see the choices you make is what is going to bring you to the positive or to more suffering. You know, it's not anyone who is stopping you from going back. Right? The material energy is only testing you. It's not like it's stopping you. She's a servant of Krishna, so her job may appear thankless, but if she doesn't do that, then the unqualified people cannot go to spiritual. They'll cause havoc. Right? It's like you don't let anyone to come into the temple, right? If they are crazy people, you tell them to stay outside. We'll give you some prasad and go away. Right? Okay. Yes, Prabhu, you had a question.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Lord Narasimhadev touched Prahlad Maharaj and all the material contamination went away. And Prahlad Maharaj, after this complete situation, he ruled and he went back. So can we understand in this direction that that touch helped him to go do pure devotional service for the rest of his life and go back to Krishna?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. So you are saying, then you will say, I'm not touched by. and therefore I can't do my service. That's what you will say. So that is not the right understanding. No, it's not like that. Yeah, it is the Lord's affection, and He probably. There may be some Acharya comments on that. I don't have those things. So. But no, it's not because he touched and then only he can. Then every Tom, Dick and Harry, any bogus yogi will say, I'll touch you and then you become pure, which is what is that, Ramakrishna with Vivekananda, you know. He touched Vivekananda and then he collapses. Then he says, what happened? I give you all my power. Now I've got nothing. Where is this such thing? Bhakti is not like that, no? We don't lose anything, yeah. Right. The impurity that is discussed here, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, is the inauspiciousness taking birth in a demonic family. Yeah, that's the impurity. And he's already purified. Yeah. So that is, if that's already there, then how can the Lord touch him? Right or not? If you are going to say, how can the Lord touch someone who's not pure, right? So therefore, he's already pure. It's got nothing to do with the Lord then touched him and then he is doing no. So whatever was already accomplished through bhakti, it's already fully manifest. Yeah. And what we see is it's the, by the Lord's touch, it became more glorified, you can say. Yeah. Yeah. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur said Prahlad's realization was Paramatma realization. Yeah. Anyway.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So my question is like, during the persecution of Prahlad Maharaj.
During the persecution of Prahlad.
So did he afraid, or he's completely depend on the God's protection and he survived?
Yeah. Did you read the Bhagavatam?
That part I didn't.
You haven't? You all should read. At least you all should read 3-4 times the whole Bhagavatam. Yeah.
Now my question related to it is like, we also, like even normal people like me, like we also needs to feel God's protection, and we need not fearful for anything happens in the like especially reversals occur in our life.
Yeah, so it's a good question. Like if you are not practicing Krishna consciousness, for example, today, maybe you guys won't be here, right? You may be doing something somewhere, something silly or something. So that itself is the Lord's protection also. The Lord's devotion to the Lord has allowed you to not waste your time, not pursue things that are temporary. So you're protected from the material energy to somewhat. To the degree that you are practicing, to that degree you are protected. So the more you do bhakti, then the more you are under His divine protection. I think it's Devim Ashrita. That is the thing I just remembered. Devim Ashrita. If it is under the shelter of the divine. Yeah. Ladies, I'm sure they have questions. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for the wonderful class. So you said when you do the service, you don't have to worry how many likes you're getting. Just look at if Lord and devotees are pleased. But sometimes they don't reply, they don't say anything. So do we really need like validation when we do a service? Like how do we know we have done it well?
You will feel contented. If you're sincerely doing it, you feel satisfied because the Lord in your heart is pleased. So you will naturally feel happy doing that service. And when we feel happy doing a service, we are not looking for others to tell me, oh, that's a great service. Yeah. If we are looking forward to that, then we are still contaminated materially. Yeah.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So we see that devotion is a part is our effort and then mercy of Krishna. So we see like it's very variable. Some people have to work really hard and then some people seem to get like a lot of mercy. So how do we understand that?
Then some people get more mercy and some people don't. That's how you have to see. How to see another way is maybe the Lord is kind to some people because they don't have as much material desires or wants. The other person, the Lord is kind to them because they have a lot of material desires, so He affords them that material facilities. And then you can't have one foot on material life and one foot on spiritual life. It doesn't work that way. One should get off from the material lifestyle and try to focus more and more on spiritual lifestyle. Otherwise, you are thinking, I have, what is that? Shruta Shibir, right? Kunti Devi is saying, I'm taking birth, I have knowledge, I have wealth, beauty, all those things. She says, akinchana gochara. One should not have all these things, and such a person is attracted. Krishna is more favorable to such people because they are not attracted to temporary things. So if we are devotee and we tend to pursue material things in our life, then the Lord will allow us to pursue the material things, but the journey is much more difficult because it's wrought with so many difficulties to achieve the material things. Yeah. So the Lord waits for us to turn around and say, I've had enough. Yeah. Because the whole notion with bhakti is it's independent, It's up to the individual who want to go back and those who don't want to go back. But it doesn't mean the Lord is not giving you all the facilities. So whether it's matter or spirit, He gives you the facility, Yeah. Just like in the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, He said, go forth and prosper, right? With the grains and the rains and the yagna. Use the yagna, go forth and prosper. That's for karma kanda. Yeah. But for bhakti, then He says, then you have to surrender. Sarva dharmam parityaja. Yeah.
So it's the strength of our desire.
It is always our desire. Is our desire Krishna? Is it aligned with Krishna, or is our desire aligned with our own selfish needs? Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah. You have to see like that. Okay. Yeah.
So sometimes, not sometimes, always. So we do services and it's like allocated, you do that service. So it just becomes like your duty. You have to do it.
Okay.
So,
I think I mentioned yesterday that maybe you all should do a rotation. Right?
but then you are like already trained and then, you're new person, you have to train them and.
That's okay. That's a service. Training someone is service also. You may like a service and then you don't want to give it up, but then when the temple president or someone authority says, please train someone so you can do something else, then you should think Krishna wants me to do something else, not that this is my service. Yeah. Then you should think, wow, Krishna wants me to become so expert in everything. Yeah. So it becomes a favorable way of seeing things rather than, unless you are so incapacitated that you can't do some service, then that's a different matter. But otherwise, you should do all the services given to you, then you do not see one service to be a better service than another service. It's no difference. Cleaning the temple room is no difference than dressing the deity. Do you know that? Yeah. Yeah, it's the same. But our consciousness have to be developed here.
So my question on that was, so sometimes when you think it's like a duty, I have to do it, does it become transcendental or like it's still in modes?
It depends how you are negotiating with that thought. Are you doing it for Krishna, or are you doing it because you're forced to do it and you resent it? Yeah, yeah. If you do it as a duty, then it's mode of goodness. If you do it to please deities, then it's bhakti. And if you do it resentfully, then it's in mode of passion. And if you don't come and do it, then it's in the mode of ignorance. Yeah.
Sorry, one last question. So if we say no to some service because we are busy or we have something else, is it bad?
Well, if you have something to do, how can it be bad, right?
Like you're saying no because you are busy, you can't do it.
If you're busy, then you can't do it anyway.
So it's okay.
Huh?
Is that okay?
How can you say yes if you can't be here? When you tell someone I'm busy doing something, that means you can't come, right? But if you have nothing to do and you say I'm busy, then that's a problem. That's a problem. Then you're denying Krishna your connection. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Maharaj. That's very
Okay.
clear. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for the nice class. My question is, you said no matter which varna we belongs to, we should do always the pure devotional service. So recently when I was talking to some of my friends, and they think that, like pure devotional service and all those things, they always quote that, I don't know the Sanskrit language, I don't know the mantras, I don't know anything. So it's for the people, some people, kind of upper class people, they know the Sanskrit and all those things. That's for them. That because of that, they are leaning towards the demigods. Some of the demigods, they don't require all these things. So how do I convince them to do the pure devotional service?
You're saying you need to know Sanskrit to do bhakti?
They are saying that,
But
pure
here
devotional
Krishna says,
service.
right? Mam hi partha vyapasritya ye pishu papa yonaya striya vaishyastata shudras tebi yanti param gati. See, it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't say you have to be a Sanskrit scholar.
That's what they think that,
Yeah, you ask them, what does the verse say? Since they are so smart, right? They are the ones who are saying you have to be like that. Why does it say you have to be a scholar? Bahunam janvanam ante jnanamam mam prapadyante. Right? That means even if you are full of knowledge, what does it say? Jnanamam mam prapadyante. With the knowledge, you have to come to the conclusion of Vasudevam Sarvam Iti.
even to convince this, you are saying in Sanskrit only.
Okay, so then
That's what they are mad. They are thinking that
but
even
that has been silly,
even to convince something firmly, when I say it in Sanskrit, they are agreeing that okay.
Okay, then
are saying that.
you read the English translation.
But that's what they won't believe that. Even when I say that in a regular material language, they won't.
Then how to say? Huh? It's been foolish. That's not a valid, logical way of discussion. Yeah. What is the premise? What is your parameters by which you can make sense? Right? What is logic? You ask them, how do you come to the conclusion that you have to only worship the demigods?
So very nice. That's what I told them. I was worshipping demigods.
Yeah.
I came to this. I don't know. Still, I don't know the Sanskrit. How I convinced. I just chant, and that chant gives me, purify a little bit. My anger went down, and my peace come up. So I believed in this system, so I'm holding on to that. So you also do that, but they think that, the society puts them, only this for this kind of people and this for this kind of people. So
Okay, then don't worry so much. Give them prasadam. That's all. Just give them prasadam. Because at certain levels, people don't have the intelligence. And their intelligence not purified sufficiently to understand scriptures properly. So the only way you can help them is give prasadam. So after some level of purification, then they can understand what you're talking. Yeah.
thank you, Maharaj.
Yeah. Don't worry about it. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for the wonderful class. My question is around the responsibilities that you brought up in the class. You said that when you're doing your responsibilities, it is not just for the sake of doing, but you need to have love and caring. So, like, I will take an example to explain, and then maybe I can phrase my question properly. Like, say, if some guests are coming to our house, and we wanted to serve them. I mean, you don't serve what you like and say that I have pleased them. You first ask them what they like, and then you try to please.
Yeah.
So, taking this as an example, like when you want to do your responsibilities to your extended family members who may not be in Krishna consciousness, and try to please them, you're trying to please in your terms because you have a limitation. But they are not pleased because they want to be pleased in their terms, which you cannot go and do that. So in that case, you will not have proper loving exchanges. There'll be a barrier. Always there'll be a barrier. So how do we come over that?
I think you are conflating bhakti process with material dealings with the family members and so on. So it's a totally different thing. If your practice is serious, then you're not going to compromise your practices, religious practice. It works two ways. You make it clear to them what your position, what's your practice now, and what you can do and cannot do. And if they also love you and so on, then they should also respect what you are doing and what you have taken, and therefore they cannot have a different or material expectations from you. And whatever you're providing is based on your practices, right? So if they can understand that, then there's definitely a loving exchange there. But if they are expecting you to do what they want, which will break your practices, then where is their love for you? Right? So what are you then talking about loving relationship? There's no loving relationship there. So the premise by which you are saying is not correct in the beginning, right? First, when you take up bhakti, when you practice, when you like it, then you announce to your family members, say, I'm taking this up, I'm becoming vegetarian, I'm not going to touch it. Then they should feel, I'm so happy for so-and-so, they have taken up a process they are very happy with. Why am I getting angry with it? Right? I shouldn't get angry. I should say, that's wonderful. That makes you happy, that's fine. I am so pleased for you. Right? Why only you have to change your view for me and I can't change my view, right? Yeah, so again, you have to think in a logical way, and then they should understand also that, yeah, he has changed his life, and do I respect him for changing his life? Do I have sufficient respect for him? If you don't have that respect for him, then there's no need to have the relationship. At the extreme end, yeah. But if you are sentimentally attached, then what to do? Right? What can we do? It's all based on sentiments. I was born in this family, big Kshatriya family, useless. You can't do anything here. Yeah. So what's the point? Yeah. Right? Yeah. You try to understand. You have found a treasure that most people are looking for, and they don't know how to look for. You have got it now. Yeah, you can share with people, but if they do not see this treasure after sharing, that's okay. You can always pray for them, wish them well, and you go on happily. Why do you are worried about them and having relationship, which means meaningless relationship? Read the sixth canto, Chitraketu, his son, Duki, right? Huh? Sukha, Duki, something like that. Anyway. So anyway, the son was dead because one of the queens, the 9,999 queens killed the one boy baby, and then after that, when Narada and Parvata Muni brought him back alive, he said, "Which parent are you? I have so many parents in so many lifetimes. Which one are you?" Then it was a shocker for him. What? Then he realized, yeah, this is a fact. Yeah, we have taken so many births, and why am I attached to another body? Okay, so don't get so much entangled into this family thing, because you can maintain cordial relationship, but when it comes to your practices, you must be sure why you are doing it, and you don't compromise it, nor do you challenge them for what they are practicing. But if they want to know, you can share. That's the difference. We don't go out to conquer people. That's not our philosophy. We share with people what we practice, and if they think it's worth their time and effort to try it out, then it's great. Maybe they'll get something out of it. If they don't get it out, nothing. I met one South Indian guy. So he came to the temple, and then this many years ago, almost 30 years or 35 years ago. So then he wasn't even practicing his Sri Vaishnava, wasn't. But after coming to the ISKCON temple, he became more serious about his own practice. Yeah. So there's quite a lot of them like that, But why? Because we are doing it to the best of our ability. And our approach is simple, and yet we are doing it seriously. Yeah. They have a very nice system also, but many of them are not practicing. So if someone takes up, whether it is Sri Vaishnavism or Kumara Sampradaya, any Sampradaya, that's fine, as long as they do it nicely. Yeah. All right. Okay, that's it.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Last question.
Okay. Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for the wonderful class. In one of the points that you mentioned, that we shouldn't be serving our family as a duty, but more like having that loving rasas. I was always under the impression that we should be serving our family as a duty, so that you can you can go over the modes
I
of.
don't know if I said like that or not.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, my
So your question is, do you serve your family as a duty or serve them as?
With love and.
Well, in general, duty means you just do it, and there's no love, But mostly if you are trying to have a relationship, there is love, some form of love there.
But you know that this is not like permanent.
Yeah, you should know that also. So, for example, if you have a child, you want the child to do well in society. If the child is not interested in Krishna consciousness, at least you want to give them enough to survive in this world. Right? Yeah. You cannot say, "Oh, you don't be a devotee, I'll condemn you to hell." You can't. You're not going to think like that. You're not like Hiranyakashipu, right? You're not thinking like, but you wish them well. So, to wish someone well, you must have some affection at least. So that should be there. Family members, you should have some affection. Yeah, but the love means you shouldn't be blinded by those things that you do not know the goal of life. Right? For example, you have come to Krishna consciousness. Maybe your the child is not interested. But it doesn't mean you condemn your child, right? You can think he's a fool. My son is a fool. I can see that I have given birth to a fool. You can think like that, but you can always be, as long as he's under your care, you can have some Krishna consciousness he or she is exposed to. Hopefully there's some remembrance in their later life of the benefits of being devotee. If not, it can help them later on in their own lives. They may think, swalpamapi asya dharmasya trayate mahato bhaya. The greatest difficulty, if they had done some devotion, Krishna will protect them. But on top of that, most people show some love, yeah. Even animals show some affection, may not be so profusely like human beings, but yeah. The duty must be done. Yeah, you take care of the family, that's your duty. But how you do it, reluctantly or with affection, yeah. Or with devotion, yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay. Or do all three together. All right, we'll stop here.
Yeah. I'll give a quick class summary and thank you, Maharaj. So yeah, so you explained what kind of persecution undergone by Prahlad Maharaj. Even regardless of that, how he sincerely practiced bhakti. And you also said that regardless of birth, we should discharge of devotional service so that we can transcend these modes of material nature. So anything like when we do with love, then it will give a greater pleasure than just simply doing duty. So initially when we do services with duty bound, but gradually progresses to the spontaneous. It is becoming our second nature. So in bhakti is no need of any qualification, anyone can get. So it is, thank you for that wonderful information. And when we concentration on the bodily designation, then our spiritual realization will not take place. So as much as we can reduce our bodily needs, then we can get some time to think of spiritual realization. And yeah, thank you, Maharaj, for giving such a thoughtful lecture that it reflects. Of course, yes. Yes, yeah. Yes, yes. Yeah. Thank you for a thoughtful class that it reflects. I can see so many questions. People like devotees are contemplating on your class points. We will show our gratitude by loudly chanting one time Hare Krishna mantra for Maharaj. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. His Holiness Radha Krishna Maharaj ki